Coming up on the Monday edition of Carolina Week.
An attacker's confession, and Carolina Week has the tapes.
The Cameron Crazies have nothing on the Franklin Fanatics. We'll take you to a huge street celebration following UNC's big win.
In sports, highlights from both the Heels upset of top-ranked Blue Devils and the Women's ACC Tournament Championship.
Our Carolina blue skies in the forecast? Weathercaster Rob Ellis is here with that answer.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Step back. Who was your lawyer? Why did you do it?
Why'd you do it? The words of Mohammad Tahiriyazar moments after his first court appearance. Good evening and welcome to the March 6th edition of Carolina Week. I'm Shelley Basinger.
And I'm Crystal Calloway. A hit-and-run attack in UNC's pit on Friday. Investigators are still trying to piece together what led a 22-year-old UNC graduate to drive his car into the crowd. Carolina Week was at the Orange County District Courthouse early Monday morning, where Mohammad Tahiriyazar made his first appearance after admitting to police that he drove a rented SUV through a crowd of students. He's charged with 9 counts of attempted murder. In court, Tahiriyazar said he was thankful for the opportunity to spread the will of Allah. He said he wanted to defend himself, but a judge says he will appoint a public defender. Carolina Week was first on the scene and has been following this story from the very beginning. Our team coverage begins with Philip Jones, who has the latest in the investigation. Philip?
Crystal, it seemed like any other Friday as a typical lunchtime crowd gathered in front of Lenoir Dining Hall just before noon. But all that changed when Mohammad Tahiriyazar plowed through the pit. Carolina Week was the first to obtain Tahiriyazar's 911 confession.
Yes, sir. I just hit several people with the vehicle. Tell me where this happened at. On campus at the pit.
Just minutes after careening through the lunchtime crowd in the pit, Mohammad Tahiriyazar calls 911 on his cell phone and admits to injuring 9 people and leaving the UNC campus shaken.
Just standing over there in the pit and heard some engines revving and turned to look and see what was happening, and it was like a silvery gray SUV just speeding through the pit.
I was standing, walking from class in between Davis and Lenoir, and the car came around. He hit a guy right here. He ran over his leg. Me and a few other people started chasing him.
Do you know about how many people you hit? Maybe like 15 people, less.
Police say Tahiriyazar drove a rented SUV onto campus, snaking his way between Lenoir and Greenlaw halls and into the pit. He sped away between Lenoir and Davis Library and then drove to Plant Road, where he called police to come arrest him.
Can you tell me why you did this? It's really to punish the government of the United States for their actions around the world.
Tahiriyazar goes on to say he explains it all in a one-page letter police could find in his bedroom. Authorities locked down the University Commons apartment complex. They won't say what they found, but an FBI bomb squad left its mark. Hours after the attack, Tahiriyazar smiled while he was transferred from DPS custody to Central Prison in Raleigh. On Saturday, police shed more light on what drove Tahiriyazar to attack UNC.
Our ongoing investigation indicates that Mr. Tahiriyazar's motive was to avenge the deaths of Muslims around the world. There is every indication in the early stages of this investigation that he acted alone.
Investigators stress at this point there is no connection between Tahiriyazar's actions and the Daily Tar Heel cartoon published last month that depicted the Prophet Muhammad. Hannah Gordola is standing by with more in the studio about the man currently being held. Hannah?
Phil, Tahiriyazar grew up in North Carolina and went to high school in Charlotte. Friends and co-workers say they knew him as a nice guy, always willing to help a friend.
When I found out that it was him, I was in a bit of a shock in the sense that I actually knew the person that had done it.
Senior Jamila Taylor knows Tahiriyazar through a psychology club they restarted last year. She says she can't understand what could have caused him to run in the SUV through the pit. She says Tahiriyazar was very helpful. He even offered to help Taylor with her post-college plans. She says what he did was out of character. Teherazar's best friend at South Mecklenburg High School, Bobby Matera, echoes Taylor's views. We talked to him on the phone. He says in high school, Teherazar was very nice.
I remember one time we made a bet with him, and he lost, and his punishment was he had to say a bad word on camera, because I'd never heard him say even a bad word. And that's why this is amazing that this would even be the same person.
Matera lost contact with Teherazar once they went to college. But then, out of the blue, about 2 years ago, Teherazar sent Matera a letter. That's when Matera noticed changes in Teherazar. In the email, Teherazar says after reflecting on his life, he regretted having said derogatory things about Matera, and he apologized for having contributed to any corruption in his friend's life. Matera said he was puzzled by the email.
He was never, in high school, ever devoutly religious or even seemed to care about that.
Matera and Taylor can't reconcile Teherazar's action with a person they thought they knew.
Crystal, Matera says as far as he can remember, Teherazar's family members weren't devout Muslims either.
So Hannah, how has the Muslim community on campus reacted?
I've been in contact with MSA's Arif Khan. He says MSA does not condone Teherazar's actions and says those actions are not justified through Islamic doctrine. Khan says MSA hasn't made any more statements because its members are concerned for their safety. Crystal?
Hannah Gordola live in the studio. Thanks, Hannah.
Other groups on campus are letting their voices be heard. Students held a rally Monday denouncing terrorism in an attempt to unite the campus and bring students together. 3 groups, including the College Republicans, co-sponsored the event along with a controversial campus figure. Some students felt that the leaders of the rally took away from the intended message and divided instead of united.
More than talking about whether or not it's religious violence or, condemning it as terrorism, I think we need to come together as a campus, and promote solidarity among students, which is unfortunately getting lost in this hullabaloo.
So if people who have published articles in which they said, all the Arabs should be stripped naked, if they're leading this rally, I don't think there is any way the student body at UNC will support it.
Tarak is referring to the DTH editorial that got Bandy's fired from the student newspaper last semester.
UNC freshman Tyler Downey is out of UNC hospitals. Downey is one of 2 students who fell from a 3rd-story window of Stacy Dorm on February 24th. The other student, Keith Smith, died after the fall.
Even before Friday's incident, safety was on the mind of lots of students and area residents following a number of recent break-ins and robberies.
UNC senior Emily Freeman walks down Church Street every day, coming and going from her apartment. A week and a half ago, she and a friend walked into a dangerous situation.
There was a guy behind us, we didn't really pay much attention to him, and then he passed us and we still weren't really paying attention, got about 3 feet in front of us and turned around and pulled a gun out.
The suspect pushed Freeman into nearby bushes, stole her and her friend's purses, and fled the scene. Community Services Officer Danny Lloyd says students should limit walking at night and use campus and town transit if possible.
I would say at night, if it was my daughter and she was out, I would want her to utilize any kind of offered transportation that's available to cut down on the amount of time that she's having to walk by herself, particularly after dark.
On campus, students can use the P2P Express van to get to and from places that aren't on main bus routes. I gave them a call.
Wanted to get a ride up to the Haynes Art Center parking lot on North Campus.
The bus arrived in 10 minutes and dropped me off right next to my car. If you have no other option but to walk, Lloyd says your best defense is to pay attention and look confident.
Whether it's going and coming from class or just out for a walk, is just be aware of your surroundings.
It's totally changed my perception. Like whenever I see anyone like a suspicious looking figure that I probably wouldn't have paid a second glance to before, I'm sort of on my guard about it, or like I'll change my path so I don't have to walk past them, which I guess is good because I'm more alert than I was before.
In addition to telling people to be alert, campus police are urging students who live on campus to keep their doors locked. On Thursday about noon, freshman Chris Chambers left his Lewis dorm room to take a shower. After leaving for 20 minutes, he came back to find his computer and his roommate's computer stolen. Chambers reported the robbery to his resident advisor and to campus police. Police are currently using the computer serial numbers to try to locate the stolen property. Chambers says he didn't realize what a big mistake he'd made.
I bet I was seen not locking my door, and that person knew my door was unlocked and decided he's going to go, he's not going to be able to stop me, so they can steal the computer.
If you see any suspicious activity in the dorms, call the Department of Public Safety at 962-8100. Crystal, the UNC men's basketball team was on fire Saturday night, and the post-game celebration was even hotter.
That's right, Shelley. No one could escape Saturday Night Fever on Franklin Street.
I was in Cameron! It was amazing!
After the Tar Heels pulled off the big upset against Duke, fans watching the game in living rooms, bars, and restaurants rushed to Franklin Street to take part in the celebration. Young, old, and everyone in between cheered for the Heels' victory. Even Batman made an appearance. Fans on Franklin agreed nothing is as good as beating Duke in Cameron Indoor Stadium, especially on the Devils' senior night.
Forget about JJ, it's all about Tyler. Tyler Haysbro and David Noel, baby. That's all that matters. Love the Heels, forget about Duke.
It was the first time in 10 years UNC beat Duke in Blue Devil territory on senior night. And staying true to tradition, fans lit bonfires and started some risky games of their own. Behind enemy lines, a group of UNC students who wanted to catch all the action camped out at K-ville for tickets to Saturday's big game. They're Robertson scholars, students who split their time between both campuses. They enjoy full privileges at both UNC and Duke, which includes getting basketball tickets. The students say they consider themselves more Tar Heel than Blue Devil, but freshman John Woolson said he had to hide his allegiance.
But once we get in, get our seats, establish ourselves in a group so that we can stay together in one solid group, we're all wearing underneath our true color, Carolina blue.
And here they are, true to their word, caught by ESPN cameras. I'm sure they all agree that their 4 seconds of fame was worth spending one entire week in a tent. Believe it or not, Shelley, basketball wasn't the only thing on the minds of Carolina students.
Coming up, we'll show you where students went on campus for a toe-tapping good time.
Medical research saves lives. It produces treatments and cures for killers like heart disease, AIDS, cancer. Don't let these killers get away with murder. Support medical research.
You know, Clarence, you and I should hang out more often. You know, he wears these cheap suits, but they look good on him.
So she says, why lobster?
Polyp sighting at 16L.
You never know when a colon polyp is going to show up.
Aunt Ethel, you've been ducking me since '99 at St. Mary's. You
Get
owe
the
me a
polyp
pie.
early and stop colon cancer before it starts.
Do I look fat in this?
Don't wait for symptoms. Get the test. Get the polyp.
They love me. They want me here, don't you? Come on.
Get the cure.
These are my peeps.
UNC's music department hosted the 3rd annual Jazz Festival Wednesday through Saturday. The festival wrapped up with this concert by the UNC Jazz Band in Memorial Hall Saturday night. Jazz musicians Don Braden, Vincent Gardner, and Sean Jones joined the band on stage to perform a couple of pieces. Drummer Michael Hill says getting to play in a great venue made missing a certain basketball game that night worthwhile.
Yeah, God, missing the Duke game, but it's definitely worth it getting to play in Memorial Hall and stuff too. This is my first time playing here, and of course it sounds great, and but I'm still getting the stats in the game, so that's cool.
The band also played at restaurants such as Tallulah's and Top of the Hill throughout the week. Graduation is only 2 months away, but before students can get their diplomas, they have to pass the UNC swim test. The second to last swim test of the year had mostly seniors jumping in the pool to complete the requirement. Every student must swim 1 lap with any stroke, followed by treading water without touching the sides for 5 minutes. In many cases, it took more than an hour to get the swim test over, but everyone stuck it out. If you still need to take the swim test, the last date to do so is Friday, April 7th at the Bowman Gray Pool.
It's a little hard to imagine the tobacco state having fewer smokers than the national average, but that might soon be the case in North Carolina. A survey of 6,000 students in the state found that 1 in 20 middle school and 1 in 5 high school students smoke. That's 7% lower than the number of high school students who smoked 2 years ago. Several state initiatives have helped curb teen smoking. In 2001, North Carolina law allowed districts to completely ban smoking on school property. Well, weathercaster Rob Ellis joins us today.
Yes, Rob, I'm more than ready for these warm temperatures to come back, and I'm ready for spring break as well.
That's right. We had a little bit of rain to move through the area, but will these students have to dodge any of the precarious puddles any longer? Coming up, I'll show you if the wet weather is going to continue after the break.
Okay, so sometimes I turn my back on my kids when they drink at home. At least they're not doing drugs.
Underage drinkers are 50 times more likely to use cocaine than those who don't drink alcohol. Say nothing, do nothing, stop nothing.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. It takes a man to be a dad.
Well, rainy weather has finally made a return to the Triangle area. Thank you for joining us. I'm weathercaster Rob Ellis. The rain that we have that's returned to the area is only going to be short-lived, though, and by Tuesday, we're going to see a decrease in some of those clouds, and that's going to leave us up to the weekend for some weekend warming, and I know everybody is expecting that for the spring break that begins on Friday. Let's start out with our satellite view of the whole nation, really the tale of two coasts, if you will. We have the first system that's here on the east coast, and out to the west, they're dealing with just a major system that's pounding the west coast. And hopefully that system won't impact us too much here after the weekend, and it looks like it should stay off to our west for quite some time. But starting out, let's zoom into the southeast on this system here to see that much of the cloudiness that's over the area, you see really these high, bright white clouds. That's where the rainfall is really intense, mostly to our east, but lots of low-level clouds in the form of these darker grays. That's the fog, and as this system pushes off the coast of North Carolina, it's going to take a while for some of those clouds to move out. We'll look at the southeast radar and see where those showers are at the moment. As I said, mostly to our east, over the coastal areas and down east is where we see some of these really intense, heavy showers that are moving through. But it looks like that after we get some of these clouds out of the way, if we look at our surface map, once this low pressure system moves off the coast, we have high pressure that's going to build, and that's going to leave us with a wonderful week as we lead up to our spring break. Let's check it out in the 4-day forecast. To start out on Friday, there's the cloudiness. I'm sorry, this day should read Tuesday. That should be 54 for a high, but as we move through this week, as we move into Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday, this last day should be Friday here, that's when your spring break is going to start, and those clouds are going to diminish, and we're going to see a high temperature on Friday of about 75 degrees. So as we move towards spring break, it is going to be nice conditions, and even our overnight low temperatures are going to be quite mild into the low 50s there that you see, but it's going to be beautiful. Those Carolina blue skies are going to return, and I know you all, as you're all wearing blue today, I see, are going to be very happy about that.
Definitely. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Well, sportscaster Michael Crow joins us now, and like he said, we all seem to know what the better shade of blue was, but for our neighbors down the road who are still a little confused, I think we pretty much proved that on Saturday.
Yeah, I like our color coordination right here, and we definitely proved that in men's basketball on Saturday. But coming up in sports, everyone knows we beat Duke, but there was another big game this weekend and another big win. We have all the highlights from the women's ACC tournament victory, including Carolina's powerful 1-2 punch.
Can I help you, sir?
Found these over by the stairs.
Okay, thank you.
What are they?
Love handles. Lots of people lose them taking the stairs instead of the escalator.
Years ago, Lewis and Clark set out to discover an all-water route to the Pacific. But what they really discovered were 58 hospitable nations who could have ended their journey at any time, but saved it instead. As we commemorate their bicentennial, we invite you to walk with them at lewisandclark200.org and see what you discover, because their trail winds through us all.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Michael Crow. Let's just say that it was a pretty good weekend for Carolina basketball. Well, it was senior day in Duke Saturday at Cameron Indoor, but it was the Tar Heel freshmen who grabbed the spotlight in the 83-76 win. Matt Estrich has the story.
J.J. Redick, Sheldon Williams, and the rest of the Blue Devils couldn't have envisioned a better start to their senior day clash with the Heels. Redick started out on fire, burying this three to stake Duke to a 13-2 lead. But the hot streak didn't continue. Redick, who scored 18 points, shot an abysmal 5 of 21 from the field. On a day when Duke's seniors were supposed to shine, it was Carolina's freshmen that stole the show. Led by Tyler Hansborough's 27 points, the Heels rookies outscored the Blue Devil vets 55-51 and trailed Duke by only 1 point at the half. Redick remained cold as the Heels rattled off an 11-0 run with 5:30 remaining to extend their lead to 11. Duke rallied late and cut the UNC lead to 3, but the Cameron Crazy's prayers weren't answered as a confident Bobby Fraser iced the game with 2 free throws. The win was North Carolina's first on Duke's senior day since 1996, and sweet revenge for a February loss in college basketball's best rivalry. I'm Matt Estrich, Carolina Week.
The Tar Heels finished 12-4 in the ACC and locked up the second seed in the conference tournament, which starts Thursday. While the men's team upset top-rated Duke, the women's team had a pretty big knockout of its own. Reporter Brian Allen shows us that the Heels dominated to take their second straight tournament title.
After dispatching Virginia in the quarterfinal round, the Heels had a date with the NC State Wolfpack. Unfortunately for Carolina's rivals from Raleigh, the Heels brought their A-game. Latangela Atkinson was perfect from the field, scoring 13 points, and the always electric Ivory Latta added 17 of her own. Carolina never let the game get close, destroying NC State 90-69. The win advanced the Heels to an astonishing 11th ACC tournament title game in the last 13 years, in a matchup against the only team to defeat Carolina all season long, the Maryland Terrapins.
Maryland, wow, tell you what, they're such an offensive team. You know, I mean, they can all shoot the ball, and they're just so solid in all positions.
The first half had all the makings of a heavyweight bout, as the two teams went blow for blow with each other, but neither team gaining the upper hand. But if the game was a heavyweight bout, then it was a featherweight who made all the big hits. Latta was almost unstoppable, penetrating and scoring at will. She finished with 26. Erlana Larkins was the other half of the 1-2 combo, snatching 12 rebounds and adding another 26 points. In the second half, Maryland made a few runs, but the Heels always had an answer, as they topped the Terps 91-80. With their second straight ACC tournament title, the Heels looked like a prize fighter at the top of his game.
I won't change a thing. I mean, why would I change something? You know, I got great kids. They're playing their hearts out for each other and for me. And, you know, we're healthy. We're an exciting team. Got great chemistry. I mean, you know, this is the kind of team a coach dreams of.
The chances seem high that Ivory Latta could be doing pull-ups like these in the Final Four. From Greensboro, I'm Brian Allen, Carolina Week Sports.
4 Tar Heels made the all-tournament team. Latangela Atkinson was selected to the second team, while Camille Little, Erlana Larkins, and tournament MVP Ivory Latta were first-team selections. The Tar Heels looked to continue their perfect season Friday against the Purdue Boilermakers, but struggled from the get-go. First hit inning, first pitch, first hit, and the Tar Heels are already trailing off this home run. The Boilermakers kept the lead with odd plays like this 2-strike bunt with the bases loaded. The Heels seemed a bit frustrated, but Matt Iannetta kept swinging, going 2 for 4 and helping the Heels come back to tie the game in the 7th. But once again, the bunt would come back to bite the Heels in the 9th, giving Purdue the go-ahead run, and Carolina falls 5-4. After the win on Saturday, the win Sunday clinched the series. And the Oscar for dominating performance and best pitcher goes to Andrew Miller. Miller pitched 7 innings, taking a no-hitter into the 4th. The game got heated, though, when Miller hit a batter, but Miller stayed cool and threw 10 strikeouts. The Heels won 7-3.
Andrew was the key to our game today, just how well he threw. And when he's out there on the mound on Sundays, we got a chance to win every time if he throws like that. And you know, we did just enough offensively to to get us a win.
The UNC softball team polished off a full weekend of tournament play with a closing game against Canisius on Sunday. The Heels fed the Golden Griffins a steady diet of bunts like this one by Ashley Oxidine, singles like this solid hit up the middle by shortstop Anna Evans, and homers. This is the first of 2 over-the-fence shots for first baseman Jennifer Jacobs. Canisius brought some noise with this last-minute bases-loaded single, but it wasn't enough to stop the Heels. UNC walked away with an 8-2 win. Screaming fans and perfect scores are just 2 ways to describe the gymnastics meet on Saturday. In the Heels house, the North Carolina gymnastics team won the Tar Heel Invitational. Junior Christine Robella got first place overall, but it was on the floor exercise that the Tar Heels really impressed the judges. With a little shaking, grace, and skill, UNC ruled the dance floor. Carolina nailed the tumbling again and again and again. Senior Courtney Bumpers got first on the floor, but credits the win to the rest of the team.
Christine Robella had an amazing meet. She won the all-around, so she had a phenomenal competition. Michael Hester had a beautiful beam routine. She actually won beam, so I mean, it was an amazing beam routine, so I was very proud of her.
Well, the men's basketball team sure has been fun to watch these last couple of weeks, and it'll be fun to watch again Friday at 7 o'clock when they take on the winner of Virginia and Virginia Tech.
I'm ready for that tournament to begin.
I'm ready for it too.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, some people were celebrating to the beat of a different drum.
Find out how colorful costumes and fancy footwork help these people honor their heritage.
Passing gas in the presence of others is not only inappropriate,
That is so foul.
it can be deadly. Passing gas releases a fog of carbon monoxide
Grandpa,
and other poisonous fumes that can contribute to asthma and pneumonia.
you're killing us over here.
Kids shouldn't be exposed to secondhand smoke. Don't pass gas, take it outside.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Every year, members of the campus group Carolina Indian Circle celebrate their culture and heritage with others.
Reporter Pam Brown has a look at this weekend's powwow.
Adorned with vibrant colored feathers and bells, members from 17 Native American tribes showed off their costumes as they joined together for their grand entry. This is the Carolina Indian Circle's annual powwow. Kids and adults dance their way around Fetzer Gym to the beat of drums and chanting. Performer and cultural educator Lowry Begay says the loud beating of the drums is more than just a catchy beat.
We call the drum the heartbeat because the reason why is when we're in our mother's womb, the first thing we hear is our mother's heartbeat. That's why when people hear the drums, they are drawn to it.
Begay says the dancing and chanting during the powwow represents a celebration of unity.
So this is a celebration of life, not only for the Indian cultures, but all nations to come together and celebrate with our culture.
Besides the traditional Native American dancing, there is also a full display of Native American artwork, such as this dream catcher, which can ward off your bad dreams at night. Native American craftsmaker Shelley Swanson says the web in the dream catcher symbolizes the gatekeeper of dreams.
The web stops the bad dreams, and the good dreams, because they're good, they find their way through the web and come through the center and down to the sleeper to bring good luck and prosperity.
The annual powwow has grown to be one of the biggest celebrations at UNC. In Chapel Hill, I'm Pam Brown, Carolina Week.
I think I could use one of those dream catchers, Shelley, maybe to help me out get some good sleep for midterms this week.
Well, I'm not sure, but I think you only get bad dreams if you go to Duke.
Ooh.
Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching. Have a great night.